Okay, here we go with another demonstration. This is Mr. Petter again, as you probably already know. A couple things I want to talk about first is this demonstration is really meant for our first advanced art project, except I also want to make it clear that this demonstration can be used for anyone interested in art. What I'm going to be talking about is just some really basic drawing skills and some thought processes that you should have whenever you start a rendered drawing. Now, rendering, what that means is you're actually drawing from a specific reference. So when we do a still life drawing, a still life is actually from real life. So if this bird were to be sitting on a stick in front of me in real life, then it would be considered a still life drawing. But since it's not, and I'm actually using references, it has to be considered a rendered drawing. Okay? Something else just to make clear. If you are in school and doing this for educational purposes, then you are allowed to use references off of Google. If you are at home and you were to be creating artwork and selling it professionally or amateurly, it doesn't really matter as long as you're selling artwork. If you're using an exact replication of an image, then that would not be considered ethical, or it would actually be considered copyright. So, just to make that clear, whenever you do use Google, make sure it's for educational purposes. You are allowed to use references and pick and pull different sections or parts of those references and put it in your project. So anyway, that's just something to kind of go over really quick. The second thing, the first part of my drawing, how do I get started? You know, some people tend to just start somewhere in the middle and they try to find the middle of the bird. But what I want to really think about is I want to think about how the bird is going to fit on my page. So the vocab word I want to talk about first, just right off the bat, is called composition. Composition. And composition has to do with the arrangement of this bird on my paper. Okay? So do I want the bird to be sitting up here in the top left? Probably not. Do I want the bird to be in the bottom right? Probably not. I want the bird to be balanced on my paper or in my composition. Balance. Balance is one of our first principles of design. And the principles of design, there's 7 of them, and they all explain how and why we make decisions artistically. Okay? So, what I do first is sometimes it's a good idea to map out the middle of your paper. Sometimes it's also a good idea to map out how your paper can be divided horizontally. Okay, and you kind of get a rough idea of where the center of your paper is going to be. If you figure out where the center of the bird is, you can just kind of eyeball it. It's probably going to be about right here. Okay, so about the middle of the bird's stomach. Okay, so the next thing I want to think about, how big are these wings? The wings are probably almost the length of the body itself. So if I take my pencil, this is just an old artistic trick, and I hold my pencil up to, I'll do it left-handed so you can see it, and I hold my pencil up to the bird. What I do, this is like a measuring tool. If I put my eraser right on the end of the wing, and then I put my finger or my thumb right on the end of the other side of the wing, that is about how big, from my fingers to the end of the eraser, how big the bird actually is. If we want to do an exact rendering of the bird, you could actually go right to your paper and put a mark here and put a mark here. However, that's not always the case. The reason that's not always the case is because sometimes we are needing to enlarge the bird, right? Okay, so in our case, we're probably going to enlarge it just slightly.